Time now for volleyball chatter on the show, and to always help us out with this segment, we bring in Jeremy Deckard with Prep Dig Kansas. Jeremy, thanks for coming back on the show. You're starting to become a regular. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you having me on. It's always a treat to talk about volleyball. Still think it's one of the best sports in Kansas that doesn't get enough recognition, and so any chance I have to talk about it, I'll take you up on it.
All right, well, let's talk about it right now. You look at some of the athletes that are standing out as we get closer and closer to the postseason. Some of the teams as well. I'll let you kind of pick up wherever you want to go.
Well, it's busy September. We'll start there. I saw 20-plus matches, volleyball matches, and 4 high school football games I scouted, so I'm ready for a little bit of a break. October is one of my 2 favorite months in the year. I have a lot of experience working with college sports information directors, SIDs, athletic directors, and they're always complaining about the crossover months.
Yeah.
Those are the months when they have the fall sports and the winter sports for, like 3-4 week period. They cross over. And so those athletic directors have to be at games all the time. And it's a struggle for those college guys in administration trying to make sure all of their events are covered. For me, the crossover months of October and April are my 2 favorite months of the year. You got the end of the baseball season crossing over with the beginning of the hockey season. And then you have in April, kind of the wrapping up, getting ready for postseason hockey and, opening day. So October is a great month. It's a great month to travel, and I'm going to do some traveling this month, and I'll address that a little bit later. But I won't be in the gym for a while because I'm going to go on vacation. The next time you and I have talked about being on the show will be right before the state tournament. And so I just want to talk about some players that I've seen recently, give some updates on some recruitment, and then talk about ranking updates that we've got coming up on Prep Dig. I saw what I would say right now is the match to beat for match of the year at the Seaman Invitational recently. Bishop Carroll and Mays South, 2 Wichita area schools, played a early morning match that went 3 sets. Bishop Carroll came up on top, and that was only the 3rd loss of the season for Mays South. And then they ended up playing together against each other later in the day for the tournament title, and Mays South rebounded and defeated Bishop Carroll on that one, giving the Golden Eagles their first loss of the season. I only watched the first set, or the first match that morning. Watched another match. I watched Lansing. I'll talk about Lansing here in a second. But that match, there were really 4 players who stood out. The setter on each side. So Bishop Carroll's setter is Allie Orth, who has verbally committed to Army. So she's going to go to West Point and play volleyball. She had 30 assists in that matchup, and it was just all over the court. She played some good defense. She's a player I hadn't seen probably since her sophomore year. So seeing her 2 years later was a treat, and her skills have evolved. And then Autumn Pop, who I talked about earlier in another show, I think, because I saw Mays South earlier in the year. She's verbally committed to Wichita State. She had another outstanding match, and that match itself had a ton of long rallies. The setters were having to play some defense and do some digging. And then the 2 hitters that really stood out in that match for Mays South was Addison Davey, who is 6'4", 6'5", depending on the day. She's a beast. And she had probably the best match I've seen her play in person. She had multiple blocks. She had multiple kills. She's got a huge swing. And she was, for the first time in a while since I've seen her, and I've seen her at elite camps, and I saw Mays South earlier, she looked like she wanted to take the match over. She felt, you could see that there was, she understood the situation, and she wanted to be a part of that. Now, they came out on the losing end. They won later in the day. I don't know how she did in that second match, but I'm guessing she still had a good match. And then Lauren DeGroot from Bishop Carroll, who's in the class of 27. She's an outside hitter, 6 rotation, quick, physical. One of my favorite wrestlers growing up was Lex Luger, and DeGroot's the total package. She can do everything. She's got a dangerous serve. She was fun to watch, and Bishop Carroll is going to be loaded. Both of those teams will probably likely The next time they see each other be in the 6A state tournament in Salina. Depending on how the rankings and the seedings come out, hopefully they won't have to go through each other. If they have to go through each other, then in the sub-state, then one of them is going to get left out, and there's going to be a really good team missing. But the way things shake out, kind of looking at things with a record-wise, hopefully they'll be on opposite sides of sub-state brackets and then meet up again at the 6A state tournament. A couple of other players in that tournament who stood out, Avery Sands from Lansing. She's a six rotation. I referred to her in a report as the back row bandit. She can attack from the back row and do dangerous things for the Lions. And she had a really good match while we were in Seaman. And then over at the Rossville tournament that I watched in September, Nora Burdick had a really good game for Rossville. And in that tournament, she reached the 1,000 career kill benchmark already as a junior. So she could easily reach 1,500, 2,000 by the time her senior year is done with the Bulldogs. And then on the recruiting side, I wanted to share that some recent verbal commitments that I became aware of that maybe are under the radar commitments. Jillian Walton, middle blocker from Shawnee Mission West, has verbally committed to Northern Colorado. Carly Panderas, a DS libero from Blue Valley West, who's off to a solid season and is going to be a threat to win a state title. She has committed to Rockhurst verbally. And then Haley Lanes from Lansing, who actually was hurt during the Seaman tournament, so I didn't get to watch her play. She's verbally committed to the University of South Carolina. So those are three that I was not aware of that have recently come to my recent knowledge. Then I also want to share with you that on Prep Dig in the month of October, even though I won't be in the gym, I'm going to be in the research room and the film room. We've got 2 rankings updates scheduled to take place. The first one was earlier this morning, October 7th. If you haven't checked it out yet, go to our site. The class of 2028, those rankings have been updated. And then the next set of ranking updates is the class of 29, and those will be published on October 28th, right before the state tournament, which begins on the 30th across Kansas at 4 different locations.
Jeremy, appreciate it. Enjoy that time off, all right? We'll talk to you before the state tournament.
Thanks, Cole. Appreciate you.
That is Jeremy Deckard with Prep Dig Kansas joining us for Volleyball Chatter.